Jobber Nation, welcome to our last 2020 Big Four episode of the Big Four. As if you remember, if you listened to the SummerSlam episode, I revamped it a little bit, but once again, always appreciative of the girls that have been on previously. So shout outs to Tatiana, shout outs to Haven, shout outs to Janelle, shout outs to Chrissy for building the foundation that, it's not something that doesn't go unnoticed. But I wanted to bring something different, especially because of COVID and stuff, I think, and scheduling and all that jazz. I wanted to just jazz it up a bit. So if you did watch the SummerSlam edition episode of the Big Four, I had the lovely and incredible Hulkish from Talk of Champions, Miss Hartz herself, Shanti. So shout outs to her. Shout outs to Talk of Champions under the Jabba Network. But I had her on, and I've had 2.5, 3 months to really think who should bless us on this Survivor Series episode, and I didn't have to look far at all. And this has been something probably we've been wanting to do for a very long time. So along with me for this episode, along for this ride, I'm gonna let you introduce yourself because you
introduce
use
me.
a bad anybody that comes on the show, whether it's Jabba T's podcast or this or anything I do, I let them introduce themselves because I can't do it no justice. So let the viewers and listeners know who you are.
Hi everybody, this is Tavia Regina, also known as the Queen from the Yerrr Sports show, and among other things. I'm grateful to be here with you. We've been wanting to record forever.
Forever. And it is funny because kind of when we start, and we were bound, I think, to cross paths regardless because we both went to St. John's.
Yep.
We both love wrestling and things like that. We both have mutual friends even before we became friends. So this was bound to happen. And I had to think, and I was like, I can ask anybody to do anything, and it's, they'll be like, okay, cool. But I was like, no, let me get my sis, of course, a part of the Jabba T's podcast network, to do this episode with me. Plus, Survivor Series is my favorite Big Four.
Nice.
Anybody that knows me knows that.
That means a lot. I'm on your favorite.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, snap.
Absolutely. It's a blessing.
Yes.
It's something that, had to be done. But tell us a little bit, actually, about Yerrr Sports for those that may or may not know who else is on it, where you guys are, and all that jazz before we do just jump in to the episode.
So Yerrr Sports show is going to be premiering on 97.9 The Plug, which is a radio station based in, I believe, North Carolina, but it has syndication all over the world.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I think our next episode, which will be episode number 39, will be the first episode that will be premiered on the radio station.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Shit, I want to get on the radio. It's funny, I told the boys when we first started doing the podcast in a different space because we were in the studio, I said, listen, I want to be like Angela Yee with a fucking microphone and headphones. Like, we have to, that's the goal. Yeah. And then a year and a half later is when we ended up recording to Gotham Studios. So shout out to Gotham Studios for definitely opening their arms to us, especially during this global pandemic. We really appreciate all the safety measures that they do, and we feel very safe and very comfortable recording here. So I just had to give them a cheap plug real quick. And they're also expanding space. So if you are looking for a place to record, highly recommend Gotham Podcast Studio. Oh, yeah. But congratulations once again.
Thank you. And shout out to my team, Miss Ursula Rashawn, who basically was like my fairy godmother in this. And my co-worker, Pone, they were the ones who kind of like said it was, you could put your podcast on our radio station. So shout out to them, a little cheap plug.
Super dope. I'm excited for you guys. I think everybody, this year has been a year of rebuilding, the year of just rediscovering, the ins and outs of what you want, what you don't want, just even professionally or personally as well.
This has been quite a year.
What's the biggest thing, change
several
for you? Just give us one.
Girl,
you ain't got to spell all the T.
Well, on the heartbreaking side, I lost so many people who were close to my heart. I lost a father figure. I lost my aunt. I lost a few friends. I lost a brother figure. So those are the biggest changes. Rest in peace to Auntie Deborah. Rest in peace to Mr. Vaughn. Rest in peace to Vladdy. And my old aunt, Aunt Juliet. And another change I would say is the working from home crossover has been kind of, I thought it was a dream come true at first.
Nah.
But no.
You're a social girl like me. We can't be at home.
No.
I can never work from home.
No. It's been rough. And then, working and then grinding. I work about 18, 19 hours a day most of the time while juggling motherhood, while juggling family, while juggling everything else. Yeah, myself. Self-care.
Podcast and everything. I was just telling Queen Tay that literally this week I've recorded like 6 times. Like, I'm just like...
The marathon woman.
I'm over it. Like, I recorded on Tuesday night when we had King Mo on for the JTP Lounge. So from Tuesday to like today, I've been recording. I recorded 2 special episodes on Wednesday. I recorded Sasson Talk. Shout out to Amanda and our new venture.
That's such a good...
Thank you.
I love it.
Trust me, when we get a few episodes in, we're gonna get the girls on. We're gonna have a girl chat.
We're gonna have a
Promise.
good time.
We're gonna get all the girls up under the job.
Our talks get mixy.
Mixy. Previously, I can't say it now because I'm in a whole situation. But
not even just relationship wise. This is how we talk, and how we joke. People don't get it.
Correct. Like, they don't get our humor half the time because people think I'm like even when I'm serious, people think it's funny, and I'll be like, no, I'm dead ass.
No,
like,
I'm serious.
I'm for real. But they don't get that. But I do appreciate Amanda for taking the leap of faith with me and us starting Sasson Talk.
She's such a beautiful person.
Absolutely beautiful soul.
Oh my God.
Definitely has multiple stories to tell. So this is probably the most therapeutic yet amazing thing the both of us can kind of create together. So I'm super excited about that. And then now I'm recording the Big Four, the last of the Mohegan Sun for 2020 in terms of the Big Four.
Wow.
What have been your thoughts on the other Big Fours? Because we literally started the year off. I fucking dropped my whole drink when Edge came out at the Rumble. We were at Legends.
OMG, what a moment.
So we go from living a normal life for Royal Rumble to then, planning. I was planning Tampa. We were going to do shots to Faye Jackson doing the gray sweatpants.
I remember
I was going to do that. We were going to be in Tampa. I had a house booked, everything. And then coronavirus happened. And then, WrestleMania ended up being, for the first time ever, 2 nights. Which, honestly speaking, I thought it was dope.
You know why it was dope? Because the endings of both nights
were very different. And
you, like me, I invested so much money into my tickets for my daughter.
Right, because you the queen of let me book everything now. Like, thank God the only thing that I had booked was the flight going. We had put the deposit down for the house, and that was it. Like, I typically don't. I didn't get any tickets yet. The only thing I was probably going to get before everything shut down was the WrestleCon ticket to meet and greet for Jericho. That was the only other thing I think I was going to get in advance. Everything else I would have got there while I was in Tampa. So it's unfortunate that because you were definitely not the only person that invested so much money into buying packages and tickets. Your word.
If they were
if they didn't shut down New York and shut down the country low key, I still would have went. Mask and all.
My face shield, my
mask and all.
Why not?
I would have still went. So, but everybody takes different risks. Everybody could probably look at us like you guys are crazy, and I'm like, no, it's a part of who I am. So to have that part missing was really weird. So we go from WrestleMania being 2 nights, and then we have SummerSlam.
The return of Roman Reigns.
The return of Roman Reigns.
The Godfather.
Oh my God, we're not gonna do this now. We're not gonna do this. He has a very
mafioso type of character
right now.
Wow.
Before, no, not so much. But right now, listen. Everybody that knows me knows I'm not the Roman Reigns fan. I'm not jumping on that bandwagon. I'm not doing none of that. But I can appreciate and can give kudos where it's due. So I think the position that Roman's in is really good. I think that, and now kind of fast running to now the Survivor Series where it's brand versus brand. For the first time, they've actually separated NXT TakeOver and Survivor Series, because typically that's a whole weekend thing where they're going to do NXT War Games the following weekend on a WWE network. And so much in a year is different. I literally last year went to Chicago, went to War Games for the first time ever, met the man that I'm wearing on my T-shirt, for the very first time.
Awesome.
Shout out to my homegirl Angie that lives out in Chicago. I love you.
That experience.
That experience, and we're definitely gonna give a section of this episode to the Undertaker because they've been pushing this whole 30 years, the final farewell. I can't even get without getting super duper low key emotional talk about a farewell shit for Undertaker because it's just why? Why are we doing this? No one ever really retires or says goodbye in wrestling. So why are we even doing this? But
he deserves it, though.
No, absolutely. Even for when they did the series on the WWE Network, and that was beautifully done. I appreciated the fact that it took them kind of 3 years to put that all together because I was there for Orlando when him and Roman. Mm-hmm. I was there at New Orleans with him and Cena. So to see all of that on screen and actually still be present there and understanding the emotions that went through that as a fan, I was I could appreciate a good documentary. But in terms of meeting Undertaker, it's so funny how it happened. So my homegirl Angie, who once again I met through wrestling, and I'm always gonna be super appreciative of wrestling because it's brought so many good people in my life. Regardless if they're still around or not, it's always an experience. It's always a lesson learned in anything, in any relationship.
They're
but
always a chapter in your story.
Absolutely. So with Angie, I was blessed to meet her almost 3.5 years ago at a Battle Club show in Brooklyn. She actually came to New York with a few of her friends, and they wanted to meet Trent Seven, Pete Dunne, and what's the other one? The other small one in the UK. I can't remember his name right now. Tyler Bate. Yeah. So she came there, and I was, there because, of course, shout out to Battle Club and shout out to the owner, Joaquin Morales. I wanted to always support him. So I went, and we were sitting literally kind of across from each other. And we were, wrestling fans banter all the time. So from there, we just blossomed into a really good friendship and a sisterhood, and I really appreciate her. So knowing her being one of the biggest Undertaker fans like myself, I said, Ange, let's split the ticket. I'll come just for the night because I want to go to War Games, and I had to be back for Legends because I didn't want to miss that. I said, listen, I'll come. We'll go meet him. We'll go to War Games. I'll fly out the next day. Cool. So literally online, I was cool as a cucumber. Angie ass freaking the fuck out. She's like, oh my God, Undertaker. I'm like, girl, just figure out what you're going to say because we only got a minute and a half. And then literally 2 people were right in front of us, and that's when I started freaking the fuck out. I was like, oh my God, he's behind the curtain. I'm about to meet Mark. What the fuck? This is a dream. As a little girl, I used to be fucking terrified of Undertaker.
Yeah, me too.
Used to literally run out of the room when I heard the gong. Literally. When Paul Bear would come out with a fucking urn, I was gone. I was ghost.
I remember when he came out with Brother Love. That was Survivor Series
when he
90.
Debuted.
Yeah.
When he debuted.
And I was looking behind my fingers. I was like, oh my goodness. When he rolled his eyes in the back of his head, I was done.
Yeah, no.
I was terrified.
I want no parts.
Yeah, I was done with
that.
So
for it to come full circle and to meet the man, the myth, the legend, it was an honor. Of course. Literally, of course, because Angie threw me in the fucking fire. She let me go in first. And I was just like, oh my God. And I was like, can I have a hug? And he was like, of course. He was super sweet. Out. He gave both of us a hug. It was super it wasn't how I hugged Triple H. When I hugged Triple H, I probably hugged him 10 seconds longer than I was supposed to. But Undertaker, it was very embracing. He took the picture with us. And I love the fact that actually it was a printout. It wasn't even on some digital shit.
Oh, nice.
I literally have the printout of the picture of me, him, and Angie in my room. I look at it every day because it's one of my favorite memories within the last few years.
What a moment.
So in saying that, Survivor Series for me has always been the end all. It's a good way to end the year. I don't like the fact that last year's Survivor Series, I think was probably one of the best Survivor Series in years. So I think it's because of COVID, of course, that they didn't embrace and intertwine the NXT brand. But
I thought they were going to.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of disappointed, but it is what it is. But it's brand versus brand, and I've always liked brand splitting. I never liked when I had to watch both shows and everybody was on both shows.
I love that. I never cared for it. I love that because I just felt like it gave more people a chance to be seen.
Okay.
It's following 2 different. That's what made me lose interest when I was younger.
Oh.
When they did the first brand split.
Yeah.
I was just like, No. But, you know, you get used to it. I like how they're doing the brand split now.
I think honestly, and I loved the draft this year. I thought it was dope. It was very sports like.
I think there were a couple of missed opportunities. I would have loved to see Baron Corbin on Raw because I think it's time for him to kind of be that foil to babyface Drew.
Okay.
You know, because right now, I mean,
there's not enough heels on Raw outside of Randall.
Yeah. who I feel is like the best heel of all time.
Absolutely. One of the best heels.
If not one of the best.
One of the best heels.
I never like him when he's a good guy, ever. I think that
it doesn't work.
It doesn't work for him. I mean, he just has this sinister, you know, demeanor when he's in his element. His moves, you know, are a little bit more, you know, sinister. It's like he's ready. He's, you know, but I love where Randy Orton is now.
Absolutely. And because everyone knows I call people, like, if I really like them, I call them by their first name. So with Randall, he's in the position to really just start putting people over. And I think, in a sense, even though him and Drew for the 8,000th time, I can understand why, because it just made it, to me, legitimate. It made Drew McIntyre legit. A little bit more.
As a good guy. Yeah.
As a good guy and as a champion, almost, in a sense. What I didn't like was the fact that he won the title back. That shit, I'm not with that. When he came out
with that kilt, you should have known.
The kilt was fine as fuck.
He-Man sword.
The sword.
I was like, I told my daughter, he's not losing tonight. And she was
but like, I was upset at the so I feel like interests like that, you gotta save that shit. Like, don't give me a bomb ass. And I feel like
Braveheart.
Right? Don't give me a bomb. Don't give me a WrestleMania entrance on a Raw episode. Like, I don't need that. You could have saved that
though.
But girl,
Raw
I fell asleep at the end. I saw the entrances. I saw like maybe 5 minutes of that match, and we was out like a light.
But you know what? I feel like it made sense. Like, Randy doesn't need the belt.
He doesn't. Point. He never ever does, actually.
I think that his pedigree is solidified as like one of the GOATs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like you said, he's at a point in his career where even though he's so young, you know, he's only, I think, like 39, 40 years old.
Yeah, he's in his late 30s,
but
early 40s.
He's been there since like 2001, 2002.
Mm-hmm.
So it's as if like
he's been a baby.
Yeah, it's as if like he's paid his dues through the years and stuff, and it's like he's like one of the cornerstones of, I would say, the product. Like, he's the only one left
of the original. I would say probably like from
Batista,
the Ruthless Aggression era. He's the last of the Mohicans.
He's the last one, but you know, Brock is in and out. But like, you know, Randy's been the most consistent.
Oh, absolutely.
Over the past, 18, 19 years?
Yeah.
Barring injury. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he didn't need the belt. I think Drew needed it more than Randy did. And I think that this may open the door for something a little more fiendish for Drew.
Okay.
And maybe a little more edge for Randy.
Yeah, so if the goal for WrestleMania coming up in 2021 is that we get Randy versus Edge, I'm cool with it. 100% agree with it because they're 1-1 in their matches.
Yeah.
100% agree if that's the route we're going. My main issue in terms of Drew winning the title this past week is now that we're going into Survivor Series and it's brand versus brand, you literally just, you look like the strongest cat. You're the top guy on Raw, and you're facing
the top guy
to fucking
in the company.
Tribal fucking chief.
The
top guy in not only SmackDown, but one of the top guys in the company.
The guy.
So my issue is them wrestling. It can't end clean, because if, let's say, they wouldn't let Roman lose. Like, I'm sorry. If you wrote Roman losing, you can never get me intrigued in any fucking thing that you do after that. And actually the same goes for Drew. If you have him lose, now I don't even believe kilt sword, Braveheart, Scottish, killer. I don't believe that. That's not believable to me. The only option that I would see, and if I was them, if I was at the table, is I would have Miz cash in. It's the only way that I would be like, oh, okay, fuck it. All right.
Somebody gets DQ'd or
but see,
or
even
something.
DQ is just like, DQs are like a waste of
DQ.
time.
I could take a DQ over either one of them losing clean.
Oh, they can't. No one can win clean.
Yeah, because
at all.
because at the end of the day, now it's like almost painted into a corner.
Right, and that's why I didn't want Drew to win. That was my main issue with Drew winning. Was I was just like, what?
Because Randy losing to Roman wouldn't have done
anything for it, but it wouldn't have.
But it wouldn't have
hurt. It wouldn't have hurt. It wouldn't have hurt Randy.
Yeah,
it still would have kept Roman as the top guy, as the guy that kicks ass and does all this shit. So I would have preferred. I mean, granted, it's not like easy on the eyes because we probably seen that 1,000,000,001 times. But I would have preferred that versus Drew versus Roman.
Right. But believe it or not, people always love to compare Roman to Cena. And I remember there was a time in wrestling, like I would say like 2000, before the Rock feud with Cena.
Trash.
He was not. I love that feud, girl. That's gonna be one of my top 5. But
come on,
because I was there for that. But,
okay, I give you that one.
Yeah, but I feel like there was a time where Cena beat a whole faction. Roman ain't beat nobody faction.
Buried the entire Nexus.
I mean, at that time, I feel like these were 5 or 6 guys that had the chance to kind of be what the Shield ended up being 2-3 years later. And it was the wrong call for the time. It's not Cena's fault. Of course, he's not in charge like that. Mm-hmm. But I feel like Roman has taken a lot of clean losses to up-and-coming people, and he's not at that level yet where the Randys and the Cenas, he's not there yet, meaning as far as tenure. Mm-hmm. He lost to Kevin Owens clean. He lost to Finn Balor clean. He lost to all these people clean. And you can't say that for a lot of the top guys back then. You can't say that about a Brock. You can't say that about a Cena until later on in his career, of course.
Yeah, I was going to say. Cena,
you can't even say, you can't say that about Hogan.
Oh, never.
No.
Never.
So I got to kind of give him that. I got to kind of give him his flowers with that, a little bit with that character. It made it a little flawed, which makes you now appreciate where he is now, because a lot of people, they were lukewarm about him. I mean, I would say like the internet fans were more lukewarm about him than people who were
already Roman fans. Yeah, I mean, it's not that, once again, I'm not jumping on the Roman bandwagon.
Of course not. I mean, you keep the same energy.
Absolutely, all the time.
Yeah,
nonstop. But if the shift in the character of Roman means that we're gonna get Roman versus Rock, which is what I've been wanting for the past 2.5 years.
I've wanted that since I saw them post that picture with each other years ago. I was like, that's money. And I always saw it.
Oh, yeah. I saw it. What was it? That Rumble he won.
Oh, 15.
In Philly.
Yeah.
And after that, he low-key shouldn't have won. But, I mean, that's debatable. Definitely. It could have either been Bray or it could have been Daniel Bryan. Definitely.
But Bray wasn't even. The thing is, the Wyatt family was kind of like not as. No.
But it definitely was
Daniel
like
Bryan
a
was
DB
not
moment,
and
they did. And nah.
It was time. It was time for something different, and I liked how it was the Shield's time in 15. You know what I'm saying? I think it was their time, and I think that the fact that if it wasn't Roman, it would have been any other guys. It would have been either Seth or Dean.
And then what? The year after the fucking Trips won?
Yeah, he did.
He threw Roman out. That shit is hilarious. Like, the shit is just wild in wrestling.
Yeah.
What other, before we do jump into our favorite moments, matches in Survivor Series history, how else are you feeling about the current product? Like, what are some things you're feeling? What type of what storylines are you enjoying? Which ones are you like, this is bullshit, I don't understand?
Right.
So what is your thoughts on the current state of WWE wrestling?
I feel like there's so many people that could be doing so much more right now. I think that, the storylines that I'm definitely feeling, of course, like the Roman and the tribal chief thing, especially if the big payoff comes with the real tribal chief of the family.
Right.
You know,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
you know what I'm saying? Like,
I'm on that side of the fence where I'm like, all right, listen, if this is the road to getting Rock versus Roman, sign me up. I'm cool with it.
Or Rock versus somebody. It's going to be Roman versus somebody huge. I feel
there's no more. There's no more. There's
bigger
no
than
other
Rock.
person.
He's the
Rock.
biggest star in the world.
He was the first third generation superstar.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, no, it don't get no bigger than that. And especially in that type of family aspect. Of
Yeah, and this is the first time we're really seeing the Samoan culture portrayed this way.
Right. In a long time, because I definitely think I'm really mad at WWE sometimes because they be okie doking people. I'm really mad that for years, when you were younger, you really sat and thought Yoko was from Japan. Like, you really was just like, this nigga's from Japan. And then kind of find out he's full-blown Samoan. Like, what?
Yeah.
And then, but even, like, sprinkles of, like, when Rikishi would do certain things of the Samoan culture, even from when the Usos was wearing the stupid-ass paint faces and shit, they definitely brought the Samoan culture to the forefront. Not like this, though. This is a different level.
And the Samoan culture, the Samoan culture is so beautiful. I love Samoan people. I love I love it. I'm here for it.
I'm not gonna hold you. Where them niggas at in New York? Like,
they in Cali.
Okay, they on the West Coast. Okay.
They on the West Coast. Because
literally, it's so funny. I think maybe like a year and a half ago, we like me, Sarah Wilkins, and Mr. Black. We had that conversation. I think on our podcast, we were like, I was like, yo,
they're on the West Coast.
Where's Samoan niggas at in New York?
Oakland,
like,
a lot. They have a heavy Oakland population, heavy SoCal population, heavy Cali, heavy Cali.
Damn.
Well, you know, The Rock was born in Cali.
Yeah.
You know, he was an East Bay boy. But
then moved to Florida. And then
moved all over the place. But I'm enjoying the Roman storyline. I kind of want to see a little less of repetitive feuds. I feel like a lot of fans asked for longer build-ups, right?
Right. Especially the times we're living in. Like,
yeah, they asked for longer build-ups, but it's like, at what point is how long is too long? You know, because I feel like certain storylines have kind of, you know, run its course and then run its course again, and not finding a real way to connect with another layer.
So give me an example.
Like the Mysterio family storyline.
Oh, shit.
I feel like it proved its point months ago.
Okay.
You know, and I think that as Dominic is coming into his own as a performer, you know, yeah, of course. He's definitely getting there. I think that Seth Rollins being kind of the teacher at that moment was really good. You know, Seth is one of the best. And I just feel like I've been watching them since May.
So I think and you know, this is all assumption and things like that. I really think they didn't want to put Seth in like a long term, like either put him with the belt.
Something with the belt, of course.
But I think it was mostly because Becky's due in December.
Oh my God, that photo shoot!
Beautiful.
Do you know?
I'm not even a Becky Lynch fan. Everyone that knows that listens to the podcast knows.
Do you know that they used all black designers?
Oh, really?
A black stylist.
Oh, shit.
And a black photographer.
Makes so much more sense, though.
For
I love the photo shoot. It was beautiful.
I mean,
she's pretty pregnant.
It's like there's so many people who say Black Lives Matter and stuff like that and don't give the opportunity.
Oh, absolutely.
They
don't support. Like, the thing is like, listen, if you're going to sit here and, you know, push Black Lives Matter, you know, anything, you have to support black-owned businesses.
And they did.
Period.
And he did.
You can't just sit around and just hold up a sign that says Black Lives Matter and think that, oh, that's the end of the road. No.
Yeah, it goes deeper.
You have to be able to put into that market. You have to support that market. So that's really cool.
Yeah, that's
to know that they supported. They had black-owned businesses.
And Charlotte and the photographer, you know, because I'm a media junkie. Like, I love all things like social media and stuff. Not posting, just looking.
Yeah,
I hate to post to social. And he had some stunning pictures of Charlotte too. So I think Andrade and Charlotte used the same photographer for a few
okay.
things too. So I'm really, but when I found out that they used all black
That's dope.
photographers, and so I was like, yo,
That's dope.
that's crazy. I
That's
loved it.
actually
And
really,
they
really
looked sharp.
And you know what? For her to be probably, I think she's probably like 8 months now. She's a small belly. She's tiny.
Because she's still staying fit.
Yeah.
She's just belly.
She's just
nothing
whole
else.
ass belly.
But they said with the first baby, when my first baby, my only baby, I was all belly. I was nothing.
Really?
I didn't gain weight anywhere else, just my stomach.
Oh,
And I didn't show until I was 7 months.
that's impressive.
Yeah.
That's dope.
I was still fitting into my clothes until I was 7 months pregnant. And it's like one day I woke up and I had this belly that I couldn't
That shit would have freaked me out.
I couldn't hide.
That would definitely
But you wouldn't
take me
know.
for the cake.
I'm gonna show you a picture. You would be like, yeah, I'm gonna show you when we finish.
But I
yeah.
think so. Like I was saying, I think a part of why they didn't want to fully invest in Seth because Seth was going to take time
That
off.
makes sense.
Like I think once, because this whole Mysterio thing has ended, hopefully, you probably won't see Seth again. Probably.
Oh wow.
But yeah, probably if he feels like it, Rumble. But if not, probably definitely Mania season. Like probably
But
getting into
I
a
see
program.
Becky coming back sooner rather than later for some reason. I see it. I see it. But but getting back to what we were talking about before, some of the storylines are kind of dragging out, and I feel like there's some people who need to be showcased a little bit more. Like I hope that 2021 brings us more Matt Riddle,
Okay.
more Bianca Belair. I'm big fan
I
of
honestly
her.
think the move to SmackDown was probably the best. I said that from when she got brought up. I said she should have been on
Yeah.
SmackDown from jump because I'm sorry. Everyone listen, Black Excellence sign me the fuck up for Bianca Belair versus Sasha Banks. I'm sorry.
She's
I'm
like
sorry.
the Black Mr. Perfect.
Seriously.
Bianca Belair. I feel like there's nothing this girl can't do.
Like she was breaking records at the combine. Like she was doing,
Yeah.
like even with her in her schooling, like running track, like in her personal life, like things like
pure
that.
athlete.
Like it's super athletic and things like that. So I think when the draft happened, I was like, and she got drafted to SmackDown, I was like, thank you. This is exactly
What we need.
What we needed. We needed that because I just felt like Raw's was super. Actually, I just thought Raw's like women's side was super heavy, like on that end, and I was just like, she was just literally almost every week just going against Zelina Vega. Like it was just like, all right, when is this gonna really get some time to shine?
Right.
And and especially even from going back to Rumble, her being like the second person, like the second to have the most eliminations, or like she was in she was in the Rumble for a hot
Long
minute
time, yeah.
and stuff like that. So like those type of accomplishments like that, like of course, like you want her, and then her being now part of the Survivor Series team on Team SmackDown, like stuff like that. It's just like that doesn't go unnoticed. Like those are the type of things
Yeah.
that I could appreciate where it's not everyone complains like, when are we gonna get a real program? When is she gonna get a title? And it's just like, listen, I've been nonstop probably the last week watching like Attitude Era stuff. I probably always do all the time, but literally when you spoke about like feuds and spoke about storylines, literally Austin and Taker was literally 1998, literally.
Yeah.
Until and then
it was Triple H and Rock.
Triple H and Rock,
and Austin,
all of
Taker.
98.
All of 98.
All of 98.
It was DX versus the
Nation.
Yeah.
All of 98. So like
That's
stuff
when I
like
was
that.
watching heavy.
Right. And
Yeah.
stuff like that is actually what I do miss. Like that's why I had a really great appreciation for Bailey and Sasha's thing, because it was just like, and I do think if we weren't living in a pandemic, they probably would have pulled the trigger faster. But I definitely think one of the pluses of being in the pandemic and with COVID was they were able to drag that shit out.
Tell a story.
And right, and that's, I feel like, the missing link at times in wrestling is like, all right, what's the end game? Like that's why I like honestly where Bray is right now, because Bray can honestly start so many stories and they all connect. And it's the weird, like he's one of the only people I think that can do that.
This Fiend character is unlike anything I think I've ever seen. He's taken like little elements of his Bray character, little elements of Undertaker, little elements of like a Psycho Sid, like little elements of here and there, and made something that's beautiful and it fits him.
Right. Like
It fits him.
that's not something that's not him, and I think that's another reason why we can all appreciate the character because he has like the pieces of the Husky Harris.
Yeah.
He has the pieces of the Bray Wyatt. Like stuff like creatively, no one's on that level.
No, and how he could turn it. It's like how he switches. Like when he does the Firefly Funhouse. And then towards the end, his face goes from here to let me in. And you're just like, wow. I was taken in. I was like, whoa.
And
this is crazy.
He's the only one really in wrestling, I feel like, that can do that.
Yeah.
And that is doing that. Like, no one else, I think, no matter what promotion, no one else is giving that type of energy that Bray Wyatt is
he's
doing.
Committed, and he's committed to that character.
Oh, absolutely.
And it shows.
And I think even with going back to WrestleMania with him and John Cena, and I was just like, it came so full circle. It was ridiculous. Like, I was just like, yo, this is the wildest thing. And you have to really be a fan of the product to understand, like, how that came full circle. Like, I was just like, whoa. Or even when, like, him and Randy got into it for a little bit, it was just, like, him having the flashbacks of Randy burning down Sister Abigail house. And I was just like, yo, that was a few years ago.
Like the retribution.
Right. Like, I was like, that was a few years ago. Like, what are we doing?
Talking about retribution, I feel like there's so much more that could be done with that faction. That's one thing I'm missing in wrestling. I used to love factions back in the days.
Oh, absolutely. Wrestling's backbone were factions.
Yeah, you know, the Four Horsemen, the NWO, DX. You know, those are some of the bigger ones, of course. And then there were smaller ones that kind of carried, I would say, like the mid card and different, you know, it served as a springboard for so many different people. But I feel like with Retribution, I think there's something really big missing from it. And I like the fact that of Mustafa Ali's leadership of it, but I feel like it's falling flat. That's one thing that I feel like that could be said. There were so many of them, you know, over the summer, and then now it's like 6 of them. Somebody T-Bar, somebody, you know, T-Rex. I don't know. It's like, I feel like there's so much more they could be doing with the Hurt Business. There's so much they could be doing with Retribution.
Oh, but I absolutely love the Hurt Business.
They need more people in the Hurt Business. Naomi needs to be in the Hurt Business.
Well, when she comes back, because that's Naomi being in conversations, people have to realize like she is still recovering from her surgery. So
I love her.
She's not, wrestling right now. She probably will come back sometime at the top of the year, but those things, like, I feel like there's so much to be done with Retribution that it shouldn't have been only on one show. It's giving me Nexus vibes, and
because at first there was NXT people in it.
It still is. All of them guys outside of Mustafa Ali are NXT. It's Medium, it's Dominic, whatever his name was. It's
Dijakovic.
Yeah. It's the tall black dude with dreads. He was on NXT. And then I think that's it. Or maybe one other person. But literally everybody outside of Mustafa Ali is from NXT.
But I liked what they were doing with it at first because you wanted to know who was kind of behind it. And then they were like wreaking havoc on everything. And I feel like, it gave me Nexus vibes, but there was a chance to do it over.
Yeah, but it's just, I agree with you. Like you said, I definitely think something's missing.
I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it. I think I like that Mustafa Ali was a part of it or whatever, but it feels like after that, I don't know if it was the face masks that they're wearing and stuff. It's just something that's falling flat, and I can't put my finger on it.
It's not connecting, and it doesn't translate. To me, personally, it doesn't translate well on TV. Like, I can't take them serious. Like, it was just like in the beginning, like with the Hurt Business, it was just like, how the fuck are y'all losing every week, and you're supposed to be the Hurt Business? Like, what the fuck? And then that's the one thing I low-key miss is Raw Underground. So when they came on Raw Underground, MVP, shout out to MVP.
Wait, why they not doing that anymore?
I think a mixture of COVID stuff, because those were all pre-taped.
Yeah.
So they weren't like live. So, so a lot of all of them were pre-taped. So I think a lot of them started to, I think the dangers and things with COVID and stuff started popping up, because it was just literally like all of them in like a big ass room, and it was just like, all right, what are we doing? But then literally most of the top guys that were on Raw Underground ended up getting drafted to Raw.
Yeah.
So which I thought was really good. But I'm actually intrigued. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm interested in this whole Carmella and Sasha Banks shit.
Whoa, Carmella came in with a bang.
And people low key have been shitting on Carmella for.
I'm never gonna do that.
years.
I like Carmella.
Yeah.
I always did.
I'm not gonna hold you. When she fucking cashed in on Charlotte Flair in New Orleans for that title, I fucking marked out. You couldn't tell me nothing.
Yeah.
Because literally we went from the night before where she fucking beat Asuka Street, which
I remember that.
whatever, but then to the next, 2 nights later on SmackDown, fucking cash in on fucking Smack. Like, I thought it was genius.
Yeah.
And she doesn't get a lot of credit. I think that she deserves sometimes because of like just how she is. Like, and honestly, people say what they want to say. I absolutely love like Total Divas. I like Total Bellas.
I love it.
So to watch her, and all of them like Nia Jax and Lana and all of them like just on a TV side of things, it makes me appreciate, I think, the wrestler side, or even like learn like Sonya Deville. Like I always thought she was talented even from NXT days, but then seeing her on Total Divas, knowing about how she helps out the LGBTQ community and things like that, like stuff like that, makes me more
gorgeous.
Absolutely, it makes me more invested actually in the person.
Yes.
So seeing Carmella and then her issues with Nia and how they fixed that and things like just seeing that made me all right. Let me be invested. So like for her to come back with that type of bang and come straight for Sasha, I was just like, whoa. And I'm invested. I'm not excited about Asuka and Sasha, but okay, like that's what it is. And we'll get to the predictions. But let's move on to some of our favorite top matches, moments in Survivor Series history. Because once again, the episode is all about Survivor Series. And I wanted for us to highlight, just our personal favorite ones.
Nice.
And just bounce off of those. Because Survivor Series, actually, when I looked back, it is by far probably the only Big Four that really jumpstarts careers. Jumpstarts a lot of people debuted in Survivor Series. Like, you have The Shield. You had Sting when he came. Man, listen.
That's not girl.
Let me tell
girl, but he was already a legend. But let's look at The Rock debut. Taker debut. The Shield debut. Mm-hmm. There's a few others too. I just can't put my finger on them, but there were a few others. But those were the ones that I definitely remember.
Yes, those were on my list. But girl, Sting. Let me tell you a story real quick. So we were at Legends. So shout out to Legends. Everyone that knows that, us here at the Job and Taste Podcast, we do viewing parties. So there's only been three moments with a bar. No, 4. With a bar with ridiculous, like, floor shaking, everyone yelling. So we had when AJ debuted at the Rumble at number 3. Everyone lost their shit. When Kofi won.
Oh, man.
Most emotional night ever.
I've never seen, and I've been to several events. Mm-hmm. People will be like, oh, well, it was between Kofi and the Hardys in 2017.
Oh, when the Hardys came out at fucking in Orlando? Whoa.
I couldn't hear anything. I was like, I hadn't jumped like that in years since cheerleading.
I kind of hated the fact that I feel like I spoiled the Hardys thing because we actually, when we were in Orlando, we actually knew like shit was going down because we went to, so the Hardys had this the night before, typically WrestleMania weekend, ROH does like a super card show, and it's typically the night before WrestleMania. So the night before WrestleMania, they had the match against the Young Bucks and they lost, and I think they dropped the titles to the Young Bucks, and that was kind of like their final swan song in ROH. So the next day, which is WrestleMania day, they were actually doing like
signings.
They were doing like a barbecue type of thing, and we went actually.
Nice.
We went. There was wrestling shows throughout the day, barbecue food. It was awesome time, and it wasn't too far from the stadium, so that's essentially why we started our day there. But then as we were leaving, we had heard that there was a WWE car outside. And I knew at that moment, I was like, this go. I didn't know when it was going to happen. I didn't know how it was going to happen. So when New Day came out and acted like it was them, but it wasn't them, and I still marked out, but we like knew it was going down. But what was I saying about Survivor Series?
When Sting.
So yeah, so okay, so AJ,
Kofi.
Edge. Actually, this past of Rumble, the whole bar just fucking lost.
Do you know what part made me like?
I got mad emotional
when he looked at the crowd of people and looked like he wanted to cry.
So I don't know if it's the day of. So that's why I love, like, people shit on the network. Listen, you pay $10 for way less.
People just find a way to just
shit on everything.
Yeah, like
no, but I think it was they have this series. I think it's the day of.
Yeah.
And I think they did like a docu of Edge's return to the Rumble.
Yeah.
And Edge said that he said, I stood there on purpose because I was so overwhelmed with how everyone reacted. And even being at the bar and just, first of all, I fucked up because I was supposed to go to Rumble. And that's
I remember
the
you
only
saying
one
that.
the only one of the big fours I haven't been to is the Royal Rumble. So I fucked up this year.
Me too.
I fucked up. I had every opportunity to go. It was in Houston. My best friend lives in Houston. I had every opportunity to go.
Me too. That's the only big
one
four I've never been to. The Royal Rumble.
So hopefully 2022, I'm just going to, wherever it is. Because actually before all this shit went left, they were planning 2021's Rumble, and I was going to go. I was like, fuck everything. It was going to be in Seattle. And I was going to be able to kill two birds with one stone because I've never been to Seattle. But when fucking Edge came out, that shit is wild.
His face did it for me.
Emotional.
It was
but
just like,
Sting, because the lights went out, and because you had what? I think Triple H.
It was the Authority versus Team Cena.
Right. So you had Triple H, you had, I think, Seth, and you had Randy in the ring. Mm-hmm. And the lights just went out, and you didn't know because
they were beating up on Dolph Ziggler.
Right. So typically, when lights go out, I think of Undertaker.
Me too.
It automatically.
I thought it was gonna be Taker.
And I thought when the fucking crows, I said, "Oh shit, y'all fucked me."
I stood up. I was like,
when I tell you because we were on the floor, where all the couches are on.
Yeah.
When I tell you the whole floor shook because everyone jumped up and down.
I couldn't
for
believe
Sting. It was like, because it was one of those things like, childhood. You watch Sting. Sting was WCW. No matter what anyone says.
Sting was WCW all the way.
Sting was what, honestly, Taker was to WWE. Period. He never went to no other brand outside of TNA, but that's debatable.
But that was after.
But that was way after the company,
yeah. So you can't
But he was a homegrown WCW guy. So to see the guy, the man, the myth, the legend, walk down the ramp in a WWE pay-per-view and just fuck up everything, it brought me back to my childhood. I said, yo, what the fuck are we, like, this is really happening. Like, and I'm not going to hold you. I do hold Seth accountable for that buckle bump, but just to even have the opportunity to be in a space, at that time to watch Sting even talk on a fucking I think it was in Brooklyn. It was a Raw.
The night after SummerSlam when he was under, they was trying to do the statue for Seth.
Yes, and they was doing a whole. I was there for that. So they did a whole celebration for Seth.
I remember that.
And then when they revealed, they pulled up the box and fucking Sting was there. I fucking
with
lost
that
it.
bat.
I fucking lost it.
And the fact that he didn't say a word after what really. That whole build up to his fight with Triple H at WrestleMania 31, I loved it because he didn't say a word for a while. Or he kept pushing his bat into Triple H's chest and pointed at the WrestleMania sign.
Which is some old school shit that he did.
Wow.
That he would have done on WCW. He's done that.
He hadn't done that in a long time. That reminds me of Crow Sting.
Correct.
Even before NWO Black and Red.
Correct.
That's what, he sat in the rafters for months.
Not saying shit. And then fucking Ultimate Warrior would come out and try to find Sting, and niggas couldn't find him and shit. It was hilarious. And then, when he would come out from the rafters and shit like that and try to save people, I was just like, this is like that time
that
WCW
vigilante.
Was just like,
yo, WCW was lit.
It was lit.
I would say between 90.
It was like 96 to like 99.
The end of 98, early 99.
Yeah.
Because when you go into the W, even in 95, there was a really good storyline when it was my favorite of all time, Brian Pillman, when he was in the Four Horsemen, and Arn Anderson was like, trying to keep him straight because he was the loose cannon, and he brought the loose cannon into the WWF at the time. But WCW had a decent run, and it would have not meant anything without Sting.
Absolutely. There's no.
So he
you
was
can
the
never
guy.
not talk about WCW and not
Yeah,
talk
of
about
course
Sting.
not. And that
So
was
for
like-
Sting to come on a WWE pay-per-view, I was like,
and save Team Cena.
mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying? Because Dolph Ziggler was like he was like on his last limb.
That was probably Ziggy's best Survivor Series like performance ever.
Yes.
Like Ziggy was out here the sole fucking survivor. You was just like, what?
And Sting came and everybody looked.
Sting fucked up everybody's shit.
Yeah.
Whole
that
shit.
was and let me tell you something. That was my number one for best Survivor Series moment. So spoiler alert.
Well, let's get into it. What's another one on your list?
I would say when Undertaker returned in 2005.
Okay.
When it started that feud between him and Randy.
Okay.
And when the lights went out with the dong, and then when he came up and that was bananas. I love that moment. Another one for me would be Survivor Series 2011 for two reasons. I loved the Howard Finkel introduction with CM Punk.
I could watch that
I loved
forever.
And I was right where I was sitting was right by where I guess John Cena's face was on a thing on one side and The Rock's face was on the other. I was sitting right by where Cena's face, so I could see backstage like where Punk was like he was like hyping himself up. I'm like, yeah, and then he beat Alberto Del Rio. And then
so different. That's a different topic for a different day. We're not gonna get into that. He had so much potential. I'm just gonna put out
justice for Paige. I'm just gonna say.
I'm just gonna not only that. I'm just gonna say there was so much potential on the table for him, and he dropped the ball. But
he more than dropped the ball. I mean, he was a girl.
Yo, he dropped the ball.
He dropped the ball, and he almost ruined that girl's career.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, it's my phone.
All right. Y'all appreciate it. Oh, that's dope. Who's calling you, girl? Is that your ringtone for everybody?
That's my mom's ringtone.
Aw. That's a good song. Even though I'm not really a Pac fan like that because I'm from Brooklyn.
Girl, bye.
Sorry, I'm just saying.
Whew.
Different topic, different day.
Different day.
So yeah, CM Punk, Howard Finkel doing the entrance for him.
Yeah.
It gets literally, I can pull up on YouTube now and still get chills about it because just
Rest
the
in peace,
emotion,
Howard
absolutely, just the idea of what Howard Finkel means to wrestling. So at the time, with Alberto Del Rio coming out with his own ring announcer and shit like that and blah, blah, blah. That, that for the timing was cool too. But for CM Punk in his hometown and being able to get...
No, it was New York.
Oh, no, it was at the Garden.
It was at the Garden.
So
it was Fink's hometown.
Right. To be able to have the voice of the Garden in terms of wrestling, introduce it. That shit is big.
My first memory of wrestling, I will never forget the yellow microphone used to come down from the ceiling, and Fink was at every show back then. And I think it was Hulk. I don't remember, don't quote me. It was like Hulk Hogan. It was around right before the Mega Powers imploded.
Okay.
So I remember Fink from back then. And it was like, it felt as if I was transformed back into a little girl in the 80s watching Fink in the middle of the ring.
Right.
It was everything. So that's one of my other moments. Survivor Series 2011, because I really did enjoy the Miz and R-Truth's freestyle remix.
Yeah, R-Truth is a gem. He's a national, what we call, in our group chat, we call him a national treasure.
Yeah.
One, because you talked about and that's the one thing I feel like we both can relate to. We've been to so many fucking shows. It's ridiculous. Yeah. My first ever, and once again, you've probably heard this if you listen to previous Big Four episodes, but I love talking about it because it's my favorite. It's one of the favorite memories that I have as a kid. So being in New York, coming off of 9/11, everybody got affected very differently, whether it was, personally or, just...
I saw it.
See, so that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like,
I was on a train.
Like, so even that day, if you're from New York and you were here, that's a day you always remember.
Hell yeah.
So I say that in fast forward to a year later, November 2002. Survivor Series, where they had the first ever Elimination Chamber match.
Yeah.
And that was the first pay-per-view I've ever been to. And for me as that kid, and it just was even just the process of even going through security, because that was like their first big live pay-per-view since 9/11. And, you know, everything in the world had changed once 9/11 happened.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Still to
security,
this day.
airport, yeah. Airports change, going into an arena change. So, like, us even going through the arena and going through security, that was a very different experience from, you know, any other time we've been to a house show or did anything previously before 2001. But to be able to go, and that's why I always have a soft spot for Elimination Chamber, because that was the, you know, that was the first ever. It was my first ever pay-per-view. So and that's why I always say Survivor Series is my favorite, because it's my first Big Four that I went to.
Nice. My first Big Four was WrestleMania. I was 1. My parents took me to WrestleMania with them.
How do you take it? Listen, if and when
my mother was pregnant, girl.
I'm not bringing
the night that
kudos to you, because this one over here brings her, and I love it. But because of how much I love wrestling, I don't know if I could do that. She brings her child every WrestleMania she goes to.
Because my daughter loves the product.
Right.
So, like, I can't, like, my mother was due with me the night that Hulk Hogan won the belt at Madison Square Garden, which was, like, the kickoff of Hulkamania. And my father was like, yo, I don't think you should go. And my mother was like, no, there's hospitals over there. And they witnessed that. And I was born less than a week later.
There you go.
So, you know, that's how it was ingrained with my parents from from generations. And, you know, in the Southern, you know, my grandmother on my mother's side is from the South. So it's like wrestling was a big thing down there.
And it still is. Still is.
So it kind of, you know, I'm glad that, you know, my grandmother loved it. She got my mom into it. My mom loved it. Kind of got me into it. You know.
And it's something you can share with your daughter.
And my daughter got into it basically on her own.
Okay.
And well, it's something that we can bond over.
Right.
You know how my mother felt about like Bruno Sammartino, how I felt about Hogan, is how my daughter felt about Cena.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it's like, you know, my grandmother used to love like what's his name? Oh my goodness, Santino.
Bruno Sammartino?
Not Bruno Sammartino, the big one. He passed away. God rest his soul. He was an announcer.
Oh, Gorilla Monsoon.
Gorilla Monsoon. My grandmother loved. So, you know, it's a generational thing, and for you to have that moment to have something to go back to, like.
Oh, girl, I still have at my mom's house. I still have in a Ziploc bag confetti from when Shawn Michaels won the title.
Nice.
Legit. And it's because of the fact, so, you know, at that time, New York was a year after 9/11, still recovering, still trying to figure out, you know, how do we live life? Because life had changed.
Yeah.
That the moment planes went into towers, life was never the same. So to be able to go to a show, it being a pay-per-view show at the Garden, of all places, and being a part of history. And I think that to me is what means more to me, is being a part of history. So
moments.
And moments. So like, that's why, even though I shit on WrestleMania 29, because that was my first WrestleMania, but to be able.
Wasn't it cold?
So that was everybody's thing.
Raining.
I didn't feel cold. I had on shorts and a hoodie.
Girl, I was cold. And
it rained like maybe 10 seconds. Like, it didn't rain like pouring. It didn't pour and rain like. Thank God.
3 things that upset me, because I had gotten we had gotten passes to be there, because a client that I was working with at the time, he was performed at WrestleMania. So when we got there, somebody's thumb, there was play wrestling in the parking lot, and somebody's thumb got amputated.
Oh.
And he was like looking for his thumb, and they were like trying to go to take him to the ambulance. He said, "No, I paid for my ticket." He said,
wrap that shit up.
He said, "I put my thumb on later." I was like, and I saw like the blood gushing out. So that was strike 1. Strike 2, it was raining. I was pissed.
Crazy.
And strike 3,
it rained in Orlando for like 2 seconds.
Yeah, but it was hot as hell in Orlando.
Yeah,
that day was hot.
Sun.
That's
so like where we were sitting, like if you remember, I always tell people it's the side where the fireworks are coming out. So when Charlotte came out, so like if you're watching on TV, we were on the right side. So the sun was beaming. So when the sun shifted, we were like, "Woo, thank you Jesus," because we could. That was brutal as fuck.
That day, and you know what other weather was bad with Miami? Like the seats were so hot. I couldn't, because I was wearing shorts. I couldn't sit.
Yeah.
We had to wait until the sun came down just a little bit to be able to sit in our seats. So, yeah.
So, I mean, as you can see, hardcore fans over here. Listen, I done probably invested and spent money more on WWE than probably anything else in life outside of probably flights or things. But it's because it's a part of who I am. You know, it's a part of life.
It's your signature. It's something that you're. It's a blessing to find something that you're passionate about.
That's what everyone tells me.
It's a blessing.
Literally, anybody, and it's typically people actually that don't like wrestling that tell me, yo, the passion you have for wrestling, I don't understand why you don't work for the E. And I'm just like, that actually never was a goal of mine. Like, I've never was like, yeah, let me go work for Vince. Like, no, it's just something that I've always loved and it's been consistent. And it's something that, I found by myself. Like, unlike you, where you had your mom kind of introduce it to you and things like that, and your grandma. Like, for me, I was a kid at 2 o'clock in the morning on the couch in the living room, TV mute, because everyone makes fun because I can watch wrestling mute. TV mute, watching ECW.
Oh, wow.
So, for me, and it was just because,
I keep forgetting that you're younger
and I
than
just
me.
became,
I keep forgetting you were.
I'm a spring chicken over here. You ain't that much older, so please.
I got you by at least 5 years. At least.
You still look at them.
Thank
you.
You
Seasoned.
Thank you.
Other than that, so Survivor Series 2002 for me, one of my favorite memories of all time. Also, I wanted to talk about the infamous Montreal screw job.
Oh, man.
And I always laugh about it kind of because I'm like, yo, that really was Survivor Series. Like, what?
I keep forgetting that was a Survivor
Series. I
you
literally forget every time. And then when I watch, either a Raw, the Raw after when Vince had made his statement, he wasn't, like, Brett screwed Brett. When he said the infamous Brett screwed Brett line, I was just like, Vinny, really?
Oh, my God.
Come on.
That was the biggest thing. I was in high school when that happened. That was the biggest thing that the boys in the cafeteria were talking about. They were like, yo, do you think that was real? I was like, I think that was real. I said, I don't think that was fake.
At all.
My mother had said it. We were watching it at home. My mother was like, that looks really real to me.
Listen, you know how I knew it was real? When Brett spat in Vince McMahon's face. I said, oh no.
That's let me tell you something.
And then, that's wild. Mm-hmm. And then what I actually appreciated was when, I think it was the first season of Dark Side of the Ring. And everybody and you heard really more of the story from Earl Hebner's side.
Yeah.
And, and things like that. So I haven't, there's moments in wrestling that changes wrestling forever. Montreal Screwjob definitely top 3 easy of moments that changes wrestling forever because it is one of those things up until probably within the last 10, 15 years even Brett and fucking Shawn Michaels had beef forever.
It was on site.
It was bad. It got
personal.
Yeah, it got real bad. And and at the time Shawn wasn't in a good space. Nobody really wanted to fuck with him because, he was doing, drugs and alcohol and all that shit. He was living like a rock star. And then Brett was just basically and that's why, the part of it when Vince said Brett screwed Brett, it was just Brett, did you really think he was going to let you go on Nitro with that title? Did you really
but the thing is, you don't know if he would have done that. The thing, it was just so many, everybody was right and everybody was wrong.
Right.
It was one of those situations where you can't put a finger on who was the bad guy.
It literally is the meme of Spider-Man when it's you.
Yeah.
You. So.
And it changed. Let me tell you something. It changed it because after that, I think that the Attitude Era needed that.
Yeah, it kickstarted everything.
Because the Attitude Era was already happening under the guise of the DX, right? And then what it did was what was missing was the Mr. McMahon character. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of born out of...
It came, because Vince came from out of the commentary booth.
Yeah.
And was, in the ring. And they started, announcing him because that was, 97?
97. Mm-hmm.
So, even after then, even on commentary, you would hear JR say the owner. Or when they announced Vince, the owner of the World Wrestling Federation, you were just like, wait, huh? What?
I didn't even know. I didn't know that he was the owner of the...
Not until they announced that shit. When he would come out, I was like, oh, he does commentary. Oh, okay, cool. Because, when I started, probably back in the day when I was watching WWF, I would see Vince and I would see Macho on commentary and things like that. And I never really, thought, oh, my God, he's the owner. Which, honestly, people will say what they want to say about Vince, but literally to be in a job or have a company where you've literally been in every position speaks volumes. You can relate. You can relate on so many different levels.
Yeah, man.
And that's what people don't like. People, of course, because of their fandom, is gonna be blinded by the fact that Vince does this and Vince is out of touch and not a lot. And it's just Vince has been in commentary. He's been on screen. Mm-hmm. He's put his family on screen.
And he is the epitome of, I'm not gonna ask you to do what I won't do.
Correct.
And there's not a lot of bosses on screen that would allow that.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? That's somebody that's in the weeds with you. You get what I'm saying? So
and will sacrifice. Vince blew both his quads, fucking running into the ring for Batista and John Cena to restart their fucking match.
Oh
what?
God.
Who does that? And I'll never forget. I tell people all the time. One of the best interviews we had was with rest in peace Shad Gaspar.
Oh my God.
And the way that Shad, and that's what I always recommend, if you have not ever heard that episode, please go back.
That was a powerful one
and,
for you guys.
And listen, thank you. Go back to watch that episode, because the way that Shad spoke about Vince, I already knew off bat. I was like, yo, I will never even let anybody say anything bad about Vince around me, period. Because for Shad to be on the phone and say, listen, any opportunity or anytime Vince saw me, he always made sure I was good. He always said, yo, if you want to come back, we'll make it happen. We will work, I will work with you. And for him to have that type of relationship with Vince, I was just like, listen, unless you got that type of relationship with Vince, you really can't talk shit.
But you know what kills me about, we can continue on with the list. These are people who have no idea what it takes to
sacrifice.
Run a wrestling promotion, a global entertainment company. And these are the people who, it's like the 10% talking for the 90%. Mm-hmm. And, I guess because of the world that you're in, you're on a really powerful Black wrestling podcast, right? You hear those criticisms.
Oh, all
often,
the time.
Often. So my thing is, sometimes I've wondered, how would these people book this and book that? And they can't book themselves a flight to Miami, let alone book a whole program. And the thing is, when it comes to entertainment, not everybody's going to be happy, but you're still watching.
Right. There's not a moment where people will be like, oh, I can't stand the product. It is what it is. But guess what? Every Monday and Friday nights, you're going to be watching this
and
shit.
Complaining.
And and still talk shit.
But you still give your ratings.
But you're still doing it. And that's just fans in general. But
the people who's booing Roman Reigns. If you wanted Roman Reigns to stop, you should have just stayed silent. Because if he's getting the loudest reaction of the night, when you're at certain points in the stadiums, you can't hear if something is a boo or cheer. Mm-hmm. When I was on the floor, for one of the WrestleManias. I was on the ground, and people were like, "Yo, you didn't hear those boos?" I'm like, "It didn't. It just sounded like a lot of noise."
Yeah, because when you're in a stadium, you just don't I can say. For Orlando, because to be honest, Orlando was my favorite WrestleMania experience. I think just in general, New Orleans was just a different type of vibe, because everybody that kind of went with us, that was their first WrestleMania. So for me, I was already but that was number 4. So for me, I was just but I love the city of New Orleans. So it just was the fact that I was there. I was more hype about that. But Orlando for me, just in general, to see. Just the whole fucking card, to see Naomi fucking win in her hometown.
That was nice.
Even
the Cena engagement was super sweet. My daughter was showcased on WWE 24.
Oh, that's dope.
As one of the little girls. She was the little girl that was in the scene when he proposed to her. They showed her 3 times.
And look where that is now, full circle. Boy, life
Shout
changes.
Out to Nikki.
Yeah, the fuck I'm saying.
Shout out to Cena too. But it's just a Nikki, man. That girl, it was it's brave to step away from a relationship that wasn't doing bad.
Yeah.
You guys, they look like a beautiful couple together.
Oh, absolutely. But I think when you get to the point, that's why I when I would watch, Total Bellas and Total Divas and stuff like that, and it got to that point where of like you don't know if they're gonna stay together or not. But it was just like you get to a point where if he's going this way and you're going this way, like if you guys want if you have two different needs and no one's willing to compromise, then there's really no point. So from the moment when the moment John Cena said, I don't want kids, and you said, well, I want kids, at that moment, y'all niggas should have been like,
nah,
I'm
but
good.
You know what? There's sometimes,
I'm good.
You know what? Let me tell you something. When you see, we getting into girl talk.
It's the point.
You think that you can go without certain things. You get what I'm saying? Like you think that, I love him more than I want children. You know what I'm saying? Oh, yeah. You know what? I love him more. Right now I'm busy. I'm on the road all the time. Like a kid can't really fit into this. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And then you are entitled. And what made me really feel empowered by her, you are entitled to change your mind. Mm-hmm. At any given moment. And what I respect from him, he didn't bamboozle her either.
No, he put, and that was the thing.
You know what I'm saying?
That,
so it was both
that
of
man
them.
put everything on the table and said,
did.
listen, I don't actually want to get remarried. And he ended up proposing. They ended up talking about getting married. So it was just certain things where he was just like, I don't want nobody living with me.
So I saw both.
So
I saw both sides.
I understood it, but it was just like for me, just on a personal level, like if we both have two different needs, and there's no compromising or there's no conversation about it, then really we have no business together. Like that's just like.
But the thing is, like, how old was she when they got together? She was like, what, 27?
First of all, she was coming off of being with Ziggy, which I think is hilarious.
Did you read that book?
So I kind of want to read the book because, once again, I watch Total Bellas. I want to read the book to hear her talk about her getting raped and shit.
Oh
I did
God,
not.
that
It wasn't
broke my
until
heart.
the episode when she was just like, yeah, when Bree was like, yeah, you should probably tell mom that certain things that you've never spoke about. And she just was like, and she was just like, yeah, I'm just going to, send her an early copy with a bottle of wine. And I was just like, no, you don't do that.
Yeah, those
are
crazy.
So to hear that she's experienced that and really come out of that more powerful, more motivational, like I would definitely read. That's how I felt about when I read Lala's book years ago. And when she would talk about how when Lala spoke about, her and Carmelo getting together the first time and then they breaking up and they getting back together and her just trying to figure out what she wanted, what he wanted, because their age difference, made a difference in certain
plays a point.
It plays a part. So definitely recommend Lala's book because I thought it was great.
That was a good read. I read that book a few years ago.
See, yeah, I read that a while ago. But
with them two, like I was saying with Cena and Nikki, you could tell it was very painful for both of them.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like these are two people who genuinely loved each other.
And
it was painful to run your course that way.
Right.
I feel like a relationship is more heartbreaking when you're not leaving for a specific wrong.
Right. Or like, if somebody did me dirty.
If somebody did you dirty, I think it's easier to overcome that. He cheated on me. It's on him. Right. He put his hands on me. It's on him. You know what I'm saying? He did this. It's on him.
Right.
But now when you have a situation where it just was, a square peg fitting into a round hole, no matter how much love that was there, that's something because you always wonder, what if? What if I would have waited? What if this? And then he got on TV and was like, I will be the father of her kids. I think that was the ending part. I think that she was just like, after all this.
But that's like, when he said that shit on live TV and never had a conversation with her about that shit, I said, the audacity. I said, are you serious right now?
Yeah.
On live TV?
I can imagine.
That to me would have been a spit in my face. It would have been like, I've literally been sitting here years begging you, like, listen, I want to start a family. Listen, I want to do that. And I think a part of what made her kind of shift, it also played a part was her career ending. Her neck injury. And them basically saying, like, if you take one more bump, just like with Paige, if you take one more bump, that's it. Yeah. Like, you could die.
Or
so for her,
walk again.
So for her to lose her passion, her career, in a sense, on that part of her career, for her to then lose the love, her love of years, to then have to restart, you know what I mean? And then you also, once again, you're a twin, so you're seeing your sister flourish in her marriage, supposedly, because then if you watch the show, it got real sticky, icky. Mm-hmm. But that's marriage. But to see your sister then have a baby, and then
my sister said she thinks that when Bree had Birdie, that Nikki realized
shifted.
that she couldn't be without a
the
child.
the lights came on because of how attached she was to Birdie, and if you watched the show, you saw it. Yeah. That's why when the episode, like, I think it was the next season after that, when JJ got upset about Nikki not being as close to his kids as she is to Bree, but they're twins, and it's a different type of level, and she's, it's just different. So,
and mother, let me tell you something, and mother, and it's a difference when it's your sister than when it's your brother. I feel. You know what I'm saying? Like, my sister is very close to my daughter. My sister was like a second mother.
Right.
You know, from pregnancy. Me and my sister are very, very, very close. She's my best friend in the whole world. And she was more like my right hand than my ex-husband at the time, because I felt like I trust her and stuff. So imagine they're identical twins.
Yeah, so it's a different. They share a womb, and that's a very different level. But let's move on because we only have about a few more minutes left. Not a few more minutes, but I'm dragging it. But as everyone has been watching and tuning in to WWE product, they've been pushing this little farewell tour to the dead man himself, the Undertaker. I'm not ready to say goodbye, so y'all can hold that shit. But I know, all good things do come to an end. I can't be unrealistic or that selfish or that naive to not understand that. So it's not saying that. But real quick, what's your favorite Undertaker?
Wow. I like traditional Taker.
Okay. So we talking about what?
Dead man Taker. Corporate ministry Taker was too evil for me. I liked American Badass Taker because I got it around the time. Like, the Kid Rock was popular. The Limp Bizkit, Rollin' was popular. I like that Sons of Anarchy type of
first of all,
character.
One of my favorite shows of all time.
Oh my God. I love that show.
Like, when it ended, I cried.
That was one of the only shows I could watch twice. Like,
right, I could watch
series.
So I could watch, so when it came on, I think it's on Hulu.
It was on Netflix.
Was on Netflix first, but then it got on Hulu. So it's on Hulu. It may still be on Hulu, but on Hulu, I had actually gave my ex my password because we both loved Sons of Anarchy.
I love Sons of Anarchy.
And when the show ended, I just was like, "This is bullshit. Like, what?"
They could have kept going.
They did.
I don't like Mayans, but
okay, so I watched Mayans the first maybe two
season.
episodes.
Yeah,
the first 2 episodes, I was like, nah, I'm good. Corona happened. I ended up binge watching the seasons, and I liked it.
All right, I'm gonna check it. I'm gonna give it.
It was definitely one of those things where I looked at it, I was like, oh, maybe if I take a step back, I'll like it, and that's what ended up happening. It was just like, then I got involved, and I was like, oh shit, this is real. And what I actually do like about it is there's certain characters from Sons,
like Happy.
There's certain characters that are from the original Sons of Anarchy that are on Mayans. So that to me was like, I was like, okay, I can fuck with this a little bit.
All right.
So I would highly recommend another try at it. But you're saying traditional Undertaker. Mine is always going to be Ministry of Darkness Undertaker.
Oh my goodness, I remember.
And that's all I've been watching.
I couldn't believe it what I was seeing when he was trying to sacrifice.
When that nigga puts Austin on a fucking cross on Monday Night Raw on cable network television, I look, so we watched that. What did we watch the other day? We watched a Raw. It was the Raw going into SummerSlam, 98, which was the Highway to Hell, which was at the Garden.
Yeah.
And literally the 2 Raws, so the 2 Raws back to back were just wild because the first one, Austin came in, drove in the hearse, came in the ring, was like, Undertaker, you guys at the end of the night, and we got it's on site. Then Austin comes out, so then fucking Kane impersonates fucking Taker. So they literally, like, detailed is wild. They literally drew on Undertaker's tats. Like, you couldn't tell the difference until he turned around. And it was Kane. And his mask was on. So it was wild. And then Austin beats him up, throws his ass in the hearse. And then when Austin went to go pull the fucking car driver door, fucking Taker's sitting in the driver's seat and drives off with Kane. And I'm like, what? The mind games is wild. And then the best part was the following week. That's why if you ever watch on the network old Raws, why you gotta watch them in sequence.
You can't
because you can't hop around.
Yeah, you can't hop around.
around.
It's like soap operas.
And that's another reason why I actually love wrestling.
Yeah.
Because it reminded me of like all my children.
Oh my God. I used to love all
General
my children.
Hospital,
One Life to Live, General Hospital,
all that
my
shit.
shows.
So I started off
Oh
soap
my
opera
God.
wise, and then wrestling intrigued me enough. I was like,
It was like
shit.
sports with soap opera.
Correct.
It was like,
that's
you can't get
honestly
any better
what's
than
missing right now is just drama filled shit. And they try it with the whole Rey Mysterio shit, but it's just like, listen, I already know where this is going. They're gonna try to get married. Something's gonna happen. They're not gonna get married in the story. So let's not do that. But anyway, so the second Raw, the Raw opens up with fucking Taker and Kane walking out together.
Mm-hmm.
It's wild. And Vince comes in and he's just like, oh, am I a friend or a foe? You got to the end of the night to tell me, And then these guys, like, fast forward to the end of the show, and fucking Taker comes in the middle of the ring, and then Vince is in the ring, and they're going back and forth, and Taker's like not with the shits, literally. But right before then, actually, Druids had came out with a casket. I already knew what time it was, but I didn't know. Like, I didn't know what time it was. And then literally, the casket door opens. It's fucking Austin, and Austin comes in the ring, fucking try to fucking up Taker. But then literally 2.5 seconds later, Kane comes out of the casket too. It was the wildest thing I've ever seen. Like,
can you imagine used to have to wait once a week for a story to you was like, I used to be so tight if I missed a Raw and then I have to wait till the next week and you're like, Jesus, a whole week?
Yo, they ended that Raw, because that was the Raw before SummerSlam. They ended that Raw with fucking fire coming up in the middle of the ramp and Austin just being there and like cursing out Kane and Undertaker. So then SummerSlam 98 happens, and then Austin retains, and then the night after is the next Raw, where fucking Vince McMahon comes out and literally on national TV calls Kane and Undertaker a bunch of pussies. And I watched that shit this morning, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah,
he called them pussies twice.
Explosive.
And then Kane and Taker comes out, and then literally all night they interrupt the entire fucking show. Every other match they would come out, fuck people up, and then walk back. Fuck people up and walk back. So like, I always love those things, but Taker for me is just the epitome of like my childhood. Like, he's definitely one of the pillars of wrestling from my childhood.
100%.
So, but Ministry of Darkness was just, I just loved it because that was low-key a storyline for like 2 years. Solid.
Yeah, and you know what I loved about Taker, what I love about him is his ability to stay relevant through changing times.
You hear me? Like,
you know, like knowing when something gets stale and not allowing it. It's like changing something before it gets stale. And I don't think anybody has ever been able to transcend themselves.
Cannot master
that many times. And while being a top guy.
The only person close is Jericho. Only person close.
But there was a time where some of his stuff was getting stale to me.
Yeah. I mean, honestly speaking, I never really, like, the American Badass shit was cool, but it never, like, captivated me the way Ministry of Darkness captivated me.
Girl, I'll never forget, there was a pay-per-view. It was after WrestleMania 2000, I think. And I think Taker was injured. The first time he debuted with the American Badass thing, like...
Oh, the vignettes? Yo, Undertaker is super notorious of bomb-ass vignettes.
Love it.
That'll fuck you all the way up. You be like, what the fuck? Even from when, or even like promos that he would do, like back in the day when he had that casket match with Yoko, and he showed them building the fucking big ass casket because Yoko was so big.
Yeah, I remember being 500, specifically 502 pounds.
That's what I'm saying.
Yokozuna.
Like, so shit is wild, but you know, I say that, and you know, like, wrestling really would be nothing without the Undertaker. Regardless if you hate him or you love him, you have to respect him.
I don't really hear too many people say that.
Oh nah, and then the icing for me, the icing on the cake was meeting him last year. I was just like,
that's amazing.
Yo, like, you're the good, like, what the fuck?
Yo,
like,
but seeing, you know what really made me, like, I recently watched the documentary on the Undertaker, and just seeing how he is with his wife,
who he loves. Like that's not. And first of all, shout out to Michelle McCool because she's a fucking writer. This bitch, when he had got that new hip, and they was at NYU in New York at the hospital, and the doctor came in the pre-op, and they was like, well, how many surgeries has he had? And she was sitting there like, let me tell you, like, let me run this list down for you because I know it. And just the fact that she's always willing to understand, like, wrestling.
Because she gets it.
Yeah, like, wrestling is life for him. And just even seeing the relationship he has with Vince, because she basically was like, if Vince calls, he's going. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts. Like, if it makes sense, it makes sense. And that's why I appreciated the documentary, because I was able to understand. Like, I already knew him and Roman it didn't look good. It wasn't good because of the hip. And I already knew that. And then when he got the new hip and he had the match with Cena, he felt like it wasn't as a redemption because it wasn't long.
It wasn't.
But even after that, even when he fucking tagged with fucking Roman,
that was good too.
That was beautiful. Like, he saw, like, he carried the match low key. And I know for Roman, it was probably like, you know what, this is the get back and let him shine, you know, like,
but
let
you know,
him guide
Roman
it.
never, he would Taker, from what I got, it was more disappointed in the match.
He beat it himself all the way up.
And I agree, something that he said recently, because I've been kind of like looking into some of these things. He said that, it's something I agreed with too, that Brock didn't need to break the streak. He was already a mega star. That streak should have been broken by somebody who was up and coming. I felt that he felt it should have been Roman. I felt it should have been Bray.
Oh, that's Santa Clara? Oh, shit, that made me so upset.
But he couldn't have taken the loss 2 years. He couldn't have taken that loss 2 years in a row.
Like, Brock doing it, I think, cemented Brock's, like, I'm like that beast concept, because
it was already solidified after he beat he beat up everybody.
But then Cena beat him up at Extreme Rules, and I was just like,
But remember, he dominated Cena first.
He did,
and then but then also people forget he lost to Triple H at WrestleMania 29.
Sure did. That tell you, that's the two things I remember is fucking Brock versus Triple H and CM Punk versus Undertaker. And even it was crazy. So any pay per view I've been to or any show I've been to, I never rewatch it. The only time I've done it was for New Orleans because I was super duper high and I couldn't remember half the shit. But when I see clips of, because being there, I was like, Undertaker's entrances is going to always be memorable, always be one of the things that you remember him by. So at 29, to have
with the hands
grabbing him, that shit was wild. Was crazy. Being there in person, I was like, this shit is lit.
It looked better in person.
I thought it looked better on TV.
I thought it looked better in person.
On TV, I felt like it just was. I don't know what it was. It just kind of.
I loved his entrances.
But just his entrances alone, like, even because everyone always complains like, oh, he takes forever to get to the ring. No, I don't care. How about in Orlando? My man came from the middle of the fucking ramp. Thank God, because that ramp was fucking long as fuck.
Wasn't it?
That ramp, because when Triple H and Stephanie drove down that ramp,
looking like a straight boss.
Woo! You hear me? When they drove down that ramp, I was like, this ramp is long as fuck. So when Taker came from the middle, it was cool. And even then, just like the gear,
the pageantry,
and the get up, and, you know, and that's why I think Orlando for me is just so memorable, because, you know, he kind of broke that fourth wall a little bit, where he dropped his stuff in the middle of the ring. He kissed his wife. Like, you would never see no shit like that. And then
not even dressed up that way, because remember he had his previous wife involved with the
storyline with DDP and shit like that. But just even then, and just the passion and the love Taker has for the business, I was just more upset at the fact it took him so long to get a ring by his house. It was just like, bro, how are you training? Like, you wrestle once a year. You cannot just be like, all right, I'm good. Like, no, you got to have a ring, bro. But I say that in saying, like, Undertaker 30 years, if you have the network, please go make sure to just watch some good shit. I've been doing that all week this week, is just watching Undertaker shit, because, you know, if this is the final the farewell finale type of shit, I want to be prepared.
Wasn't it beautiful that his last match at WrestleMania against AJ Styles was that cinematic match?
Oh,
I think that I found that was,
and the fact that AJ and him had already had like a history of friendship.
Yeah.
And I think that's always important in wrestling. Like, chemistry matters. Yeah. And I think that, you know, when you don't have that type of bond with somebody, or you don't have that type of trust, because I think it took a lot for him to be like, okay, listen, I trust AJ enough.
No, but he was afraid. He was afraid because he didn't want AJ to look bad.
Right.
Because he felt that he let Roman down in that ring.
So he was scared. He didn't want to do that again. But I think it was beautifully done. It didn't bury AJ. Like, AJ still AJ. They're phenomenal. AJ Styles. And it's one of those things, I think for AJ, even as a fan, to be able to say, like, yo, I had a WrestleMania moment with the Undertaker.
His last?
Yeah,
maybe?
Which was crazy because even last year, and we'll go into predictions and then in the episode, I always find it crazy how Taker wasn't at WrestleMania last year in New York here, but the Raw I went to and Taker came out. And it never fails. Like, the gong, the chills that you get when he comes out, the whole arena is cold. It is an experience, and I'm thankful I was able to meet him. I'm thankful that I would, throughout, my childhood and my adulthood, that I have an appreciation for a man that literally has given his whole body to the fucking company. He's loyal as fuck. Like, he sees the bigger picture, and he's definitely a team player.
Such a beautiful story. You know what I'm saying? Just, he's somebody who is the epitome of, backbone.
Yeah.
And, just rounding out, like, the Survivor Series thing, I always felt that he was synonymous with WrestleMania and Survivor Series. Those were kind of where he shone brightest to me. But as far as, like, Survivor Series moments, I'm just going to round out with that.
Okay.
The Shield's debut was a huge deal.
Mm-hmm.
And anything Taker, I swear. And then, Randy Orton was, like, the most, I think he broke the record for being the sole survivor the most times.
Because Randall's that guy.
Ugh.
Randall's that guy. All right, real quick, we'll go through the predictions once again.
And
those that are listening, this will probably be the last viewing party of 2020 at Legends.
Man.
Yeah, it is what it is. So we're gonna go out with a bang. We're also gonna celebrate
Wear
Sarah Wilkins'
a mask,
birthday.
everybody,
Absolutely.
so we
be
can
safe.
try to get back to
Be
some
safe, get
semblance
tested.
of normal.
Yeah, I mean, it's just hard. It's just one of those things you're gonna have to live with until. Who knows? But even as a city, a city, it's like we get a little, and then it's like, oh no, I take that back. But we're gonna.
It's not us that's getting it now like that. It's those other states.
Oh yeah, the Midwest is wild.
And then Florida,
where they don't have mandated masks and shit like that.
Florida just topped over 900,000 cases.
It's wild.
And Texas,
because they governor,
1 million.
that's really political, but them governors don't give a shit about them people. Anyway, but we're gonna end off this crazy year with 2020, yes, with our predictions. But once again, if you are in the tri-state area, you want to come out. This probably will be the last viewing party of 2020 from the Job of Tears podcast. But also celebrating Sir Wilkins' birthday.
I keep forgetting he's a Sagittarius.
Yeah,
it makes so much sense.
Yep, sure does. Absolutely.
Shout out to Sir Wilkins. Happy early birthday,
Sagittarius fam. Makes complete sense.
Oh, yeah.
But, make sure to come out Sunday and, come drink, have a shot with us because we're going to go out with a bang. If this is it, we're going to go out with a bang. But real quick, we're going to go do the predictions. So we have the United States champion, Bobby Lashley, versus Sami Zayn, who is the Intercontinental champion. So who do you have?
I have Sami Zayn.
Oh,
he's so clever. Did you see how he beat Hardy and AJ?
Yeah,
I'm like, maybe because I haven't seen a lot of Sami recently.
Yeah, Sami, of course because of COVID and stuff like that. But his wife actually had a baby at the top of when.
Congratulations!
At the top of when COVID started, like when everything shut down, his wife had a baby. So he just was on some like. Yeah, I'm going to sit at home and take care of my wife and my kids. So it wasn't even like he couldn't come into the States type of thing. It was, he family shit. I'm going to go with Bobby Lashley just because I just feel like the Hurt Business, if you're going to be the Hurt Business, you have to win. Like, you can't lose.
True.
Like, come on. Next, we have the Raw Tag Team Champions New Day versus the SmackDown Tag Team Champions of the Street Profits.
This is going to be
excited.
Match of the night.
Super excited. This is black excellence, like, all over the floor.
This is going to be Match of the night. Everybody always tries to put these two tandems together. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? And people are trying to say that Big E is going to get involved in some way, shape, or form.
Yo, I'm telling you, though, if I was them, I would turn him heel Fuck
Big
it.
E?
Yeah, fuck it.
But the thing is, I
would turn
heard
him.
that he's supposed to be going for this universal title.
Yeah, he's gonna get a
babyface
suit.
thing.
Honestly speaking, if Big E doesn't win the Rumble, we're missing something. Something is missing. Like, but I heard the same thing. They're thinking about getting him the big push, but I definitely think, well, if they give him the push, then he has to stay face because Roman is. Well, actually, no, because he can go back on Raw. Oh.
I see Baron Corbin winning the Royal Rumble. I swear I do. I do for some reason. I do.
Nah, it either gotta be Big E or Keith Lee. Sorry.
I'm not ready for Keith yet.
I'm
not ready for Keith.
So we have the Raw Women's. Oh, so who do you have? New Day or Street Profits?
Oh, that's hard.
I know.
Oof.
Somebody gotta win though.
I have New Day.
I'm gonna go opposite. I'm gonna go Street Profits.
Cool.
We have the Raw Women's Champion Asuka versus the SmackDown Women's Champion Miss Sasha Banks.
I think that I see Asuka winning, but I see Asuka winning because Carmella is going to interfere in that.
So I can see that. Always gonna play devil's advocate. I totally see someone popping back the fuck up and beating Asuka up so that
Charlotte?
Sasha was.
I miss her, you know.
So say it again
miss
for
that
those out
girl.
listen, people. Okay. Okay. We have the Women's Survivor Series team. We got Team Raw, which has Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler, Lacey Evans, Peyton Royce, and Lana, versus Bianca Belair, Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan, and two other individuals that at the time of this recording we did not know, but it does not matter. Team Raw or Team SmackDown?
Team SmackDown.
Okay.
I need that. You know, I'm gonna keep pleading for this. I pled for this in the Yerrr Sports show. Can they please put the Iconics back together?
But actually, I like Peyton Royce. To me, was the superstar of the two.
Yo, but Billie Kay is hilarious. Like they do so well together. Did you see when she went up to the Street Profits? It was like with her headshot and her resume.
That was weird.
Oh my god, that was so funny to me. I watched that twice. That was hilarious.
I'm actually listen. This is what week 9 that Lana's gone through a table. What they need to do is Lana needs to be the sole survivor. Team Raw needs to win, and Lana needs to be the sole survivor. Lana needs to cost all of her team members to be eliminated as payback, and then she needs to be the sole survivor. So I'm gonna go Team Raw on the women's side. For the men's Survivor Series team, we got Keith Lee, AJ Styles, Sheamus, Braun Strowman, and Matt Riddle. I'm still gonna call him Matt Riddle. From Team Raw, and then from Team SmackDown, we have Kevin Owens, Jey Uso, King Corbin, Seth Rollins, and another person that at the time of this recording we did not know. So, do you have Team Raw or Team SmackDown?
Can I say something real quick about Team Raw? Braun Strowman looks amazing.
It's fucking hot.
Oh my gosh. OMG.
Fuck around, give up.
Yo.
Yeah.
That Nutrisystems or whatever, sign me up.
Trying to eat a
I'm
steak
trying to
with
get
him.
like him.
Trying to eat a steak with him.
He looks like he's in the best shape of his career. Maybe you know I want to see him do more.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's time. But it depends on who the mystery partner is. I feel
On Team SmackDown.
on Team SmackDown.
I'm gonna go Team SmackDown anyway. Actually.
I might go Team. Who won last? Team SmackDown won it last year.
I don't remember.
Roman. It was Roman, Keith Lee, and Seth Rollins left.
Oh, Final 3. Yeah.
Yeah, you know how I know? Because I just saw it yesterday. But I'll go Raw with you.
Okay. Last but not least, we have the WWE champion of the new WWE champion, Drew McIntyre, versus the Universal champion and the tribal fucking chief, Roman Reigns. Who you got? This is stupid. This whole match is dumb, but
Girl, I've always said since you've known me, Roman is money.
Roman.
I always saw something in this kid from day one, from the Shield. I saw something in this kid. I don't know what it is. Maybe because I look at it in a PR lens, right?
Okay.
That kid equals money. I'm going with Roman.
Okay. So, once again, as I said previously early in this episode, this match is dumb. This match cannot be clean. I really hope Miz cashes in and takes the title from Drew. That's the only way that this should come out. If Drew loses, don't ever expect me to take him ever seriously because
I feel bad for Drew though because this was such a redemption story. Him
the year
back.
and him winning at WrestleMania
I'm just talking
with
about
nobody.
His whole, I think this whole
rough.
thing, just the redemption from before, and not living up to his potential, and then finally living up to his potential, and not knowing where he stood really with fans because no one was in the stadiums. You get what I'm saying? So I want to see Drew have a title run in front of people.
Yeah. I definitely think
maybe not as a good guy. I enjoyed Drew better as a bad guy. He's somebody I enjoyed better as a
when him and
psychopath.
Ziggy was together, I was sign me up. I was cool with it.
Him and Roman had really good chemistry too, But it's so weird to see how it is now because he was Roman's first feud. Coming back from remission, and then now it's like you putting them together again. They had a really good match at WrestleMania.
I'm not concerned about the match per se. I'm just concerned about logically
the legitimacy.
What comes post this match. Like my thing.
Somebody has to interfere. I feel like
somebody has to interfere. Like this cannot be a
to.
clean win on no one's account because it definitely will take away from the person that gets the pin.
Who won the champion versus champion last year? I don't even remember. Who was the champion last year? Who was the Universal Champion last year?
Oh, was it Goldberg and Brock?
I have a feeling that was before that. Was The Fiend the Universal Champion? Yes, he was during Survivor Series. Because he won it in one of those damn things.
Let's see. 3 brand. Pretty sure of results. It was Daniel Bryan versus Daniel Bryan versus The Fiend for the Universal title. There was no Bryan versus Bryan title match. And then there was Brock Lesnar versus Rey Mysterio.
Why I didn't know that? Wait, I didn't watch it.
But this has been fun. We definitely will have to do this again.
Yes.
But I thank you so much for joining me for this episode.
Course.
Sharing your knowledge, sharing your passion. That's what we're here for. So before we do sign off, please let the viewers and listeners know where to find you at.
Well, you can find me on Instagram at Tavia Regina.
Okay.
I'm not on any other. I'm on Facebook. That's more personal. Just find me on Instagram.
And your podcast?
Oh, the Yerrr Sports show.
The only female on that show, by the way, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
She's representing for the ladies, like how I do with the Jabba Tears podcast.
Yes, and I love the fact that we're women who know our stuff.
Oh, yeah. I get that all the time. Because, like us being humble, and I'm just like, yeah, it's okay. I just love it. But then I literally have people come up to me like, the knowledge that you have is crazy because most people don't have that. So like if I'm gonna talk about some shit, I'm gonna know some shit. So that's just me in general in life. So, but make sure to follow the Yerrr Sports podcast, which is under the Java Tears Podcast Network. Thank you so much, and once again, congratulations for you guys getting on the radio and being syndicated. I think that's super dope. More, 2020 was the year for us to just restart, reboot,
and appreciate what we have.
Absolutely. So 2021, we're definitely going to shoot for the stars.
I'm in my bag for 2021.
There you go. Got to get the bag. You can always, once again, follow us on the Jabba Tears Podcast. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and also join the Facebook group. But you can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, at the Jabba Tears Podcast. Once again, thanks to every single person that has supported the Jabba Tears Podcast in 2020. We did our absolute best, even during a global pandemic, to give content, to give you guys awesome interviews, to give you guys topics to talk about, because we just want to keep the conversation rolling. We want to keep you guys connected. So once again, thank you guys, the viewers, for supporting us. And once again, we'll be at Legends this Sunday for Survivor Series. It'll probably be the last thing we do in 2020, so we got to go with a bang. And once again, celebrating Sir Wilkins' birthday. As always, I'm Janelle from HR here with Queen Tay of the Yerrr Sports Podcast. We are done. It is a wrap. It is another one for the books, but thank you so much once again from the bottom of my heart.
A blast
for taking the time out. No, listen, This is what we do.
Yeah. I had a good time.
But thank you for joining us. And once again,
And you're not seeing me yelling. Like, I'm always yelling on Yerr. Like, me and Matt go at it every week.
I don't see why not. Listen, there's always one yell in the group. We already
That's
know.
me.
We already know whose mine's. Yeah. But hashtag Black Excellence. Hashtag we are out.